Welcome once again. Yes, this is Blender.Today, and today we have something that happened just today, like a few hours ago. There was a big announcement made. Actually, the announcement started on Friday about this new Blender 2.8 news, like announced that something was going to happen, and it happened today. A few hours ago, the Blender 2.8 code quest was announced. There were a few questions regarding what is this Blender, what is this code quest? Is Blender actually out? Is 2.8 finally there? There were some teasing images last week and people were like completing the image with like, is it a test build? Is it like almost is ready? Is like what's happening? So no, the Blender 2.8 is far from ready. It's hard to keep something like that, like a secret like that is impossible to keep. The development of Blender and everything else is really happening everywhere on developer.blender.org, on graphical, on builder.blender. Like there are many places where the news are shared on what's going on with Blender 2.8. So it was impossible to keep something like that secret. Actually, what's going on is something bigger than that. We're about to what is this? What is people are asking, and everything is live? No, it's okay. We're good. Okay, I'll continue. As I was saying, Blender 2.8. Just say something in the Blender in the chat. I'm reading if anything's weird. What's going on is bigger than just a release, a test release candidate or anything. It's bigger than that. We are really about to see history happening. Actually, you see it every day, right? That's the whole point of history. But what we are here about to see, what we are about to leave, is the Blender 2.8 code quest. So this is huge. I'm by the way, this is totally my personal point of view. There's nothing weird here. It's just my personal Blender today is independent. So this is my personal point of view. Even though I'm involved in some parts of it, this is all my point of view. So almost 16 years ago, there's people that are using Blender, making awesome stuff that are younger than this. 16 years ago, in 2002, Blender went open source. For this, there was a crowdfunding. There was people putting in small amounts of money from all over the world, everywhere. Even I remember reading online. I couldn't because I was too young. I didn't even know how to even make that happen. But I know I have friends that did it, that supported it, and it was a huge thing for them. It was like the biggest thing ever for them to become Blender, to become something that's open source. So that was 16 years ago, when crowdfundings were not so big. Actually, it's probably one of the first in open source ever, because that was so long ago, 2002. Just to put it in perspective, that's before Kickstarter, before YouTube, before many things. So before Twitter. So that was very long ago, a long time ago. Since then, Blender has grown, has taken huge steps, right? That was in Blender 2.25 was the very first open source build, 25. Since then, there was 2.3, 2.4, and then there was another big step. It was Blender 2.5. So for making Blender 2.5 happen, if you remember, Blender 2.4 had a completely different system to show the interface. There were no big add-ons system, not really. All of that came with 2.5 and all the rewrite of the UI with the Python, and making the Python API more accessible for add-ons, and these huge improvements that Blender had since then. How did it happen? Well, thanks to an open movie project. So back then, this model of improving Blender by making open movies was very successful. That was already proven with Elephant's Dream, with Big Buck Bunny. And then there was this project called Sintel, or the Durian project. So the whole point of this project was to bring Blender 2.5, this completely new Blender that was completely broken in the sense that many of the tools have to be ported from 2.4 to 2.5. So almost nothing worked. Everything had to be ported over. So in order to make that better and easier and more like well, faster, and also focused on what the artists really need, an open movie was made. That was the Durian project. This project took like almost a year, and it was quite successful, I think, because thanks to this project, Blender 2.50, the alpha, 51, 52, 53, 54, all the betas were improving over this software. Of course, the community also helped, but I think this project was quite big in that. So how did it work? Well, back then you could buy a DVD. Remember DVDs? Those old, yes. The DVDs would include, at the end of the project, will include this this movie finished, and Blender will get better, and everybody will be happy about it. Why do I say that this code quest is the first of its kind? Well, it's because the first time where it's not about a movie. There is a movie happening at the Blender Institute, but nowadays at the Blender Animation Studio. But nowadays the scope of Blender is so much bigger. There is many more developers involved. There is more resources. There is a Blender Cloud that takes care of the institute, for example, and the institute people. Then there is sponsors that can help getting developers in other areas. There is much more involvement of everything. So for 2.5, we counted pretty much all of the project by the community, right? There was a number of DVDs sold, and with that money we'll get developers and artists together to make it better. But now this is the first of its kind. This is the very first time that the Blender itself launches a campaign to improve the software. So I think we are talking of a big event right here. I want to read the I think I've been talking forever. I want just to know if everything's going fine. In the comments, yes. Bigger than release, yes. What did people start with? I started with 2.23, 2.20.23. Yes. Yeah, it fit in one floppy. Actually in one floppy, that's why I started using it. Anyway. Cheers. So why are we in this big moment? Why are we here in 2.8? Why is this important even? Because this is the first time where we're actually getting only developers together. So the developers in one place. All the 2.8 core developers are getting together in one place just to work in 2.8. At the same time, there is the Blender Animation Studio making a movie, making Spring, using Blender 2.8. So it's like all the good stuff from back then. We have artists testing the tools and everything. Plus you get a huge, we're talking about 10 contributors to this 2.8 code quest. So it's a big deal. What's the goal? Is to get Blender 2.8 in beta, like up to beta. What is beta? It means that pretty much all the targets that were proposed for the release of Blender 2.8, 2.80, like the first release, should be there. Like a better organization, like with workspaces. Also, Eevee should be in a more usable state. Right now, there are a few things here and there that don't work. The dependency graph, of course. Many of the tools, Blender 101 project for simplify UI and everything, which it should be there. It's a beta, right? We're not talking alpha, we're talking beta, so it should be a bit better. And the goal is to have it ready in for SIGGRAPH, which is at the beginning of August. So if you have used Blender 2.8 until now and you didn't like it or find there is missing stuff, well, this is the time where you can actually make it happen. So the mission, as I mentioned, is just to get things done, to get the developers together, and for that you need to fly them in. They have to leave their families and their lives, so they it's a big commitment for everyone, so it's not easy. This will happen in here in Amsterdam, where we're in the same place where the Blender Institute is. Maybe another office, I don't know, that still has to be worked out, but the idea is that they are here for 3 months at least. Sorry if I killed anyone. At least. Hopefully more time. If there is more money, the better. Then some developers can stay longer maybe, or we can get other people to come over and contribute, maybe on the design side, maybe for 2 weeks, 1 week. It doesn't have to be like the whole period. So who is this? Who is making this? Well, the team, if you're already familiar with the people in the Blender community, especially the developers, then it's all the big names. The Eevee developer Clement, Joshua, he worked on the first Grease Pencil back in the days, then also animation system, Animato back in the days. Dalai Felinto is coordinating the Blender 2.8 project, and he also made tons of features. I already talked about him. But like domes, for example, or fish eye. Yeah, also baking cycles, that's also the light of many things. Campbell, well, if you don't know Campbell, then yes, he made like half of Blender pretty much. He's covered everything. It's beam mesh, for example, or it's just too much. The same for Brecht. It's like how can you mention it? Well, cycles, the beginning of cycles, then I don't know, UV editing back in the days, the render branch for Sintel, I remember. I don't know, all sorts of things. Bastian also is all over the place in Blender. All these names you already know, they're working full time already for Blender. So having them in one, but they're all in different places. So they're in different continents even. So it's like Brazil and Belgium and Australia and New Zealand. So getting them all together, imagine, that would be awesome. And then of course there is the people at the Blender Institute that we also get involved, get it. We are here, right? But not only Ton as a coordinator of the Blender Foundation and the person with the vision of what Blender should be, where Blender should go, but also the interface and all these very unique ways of seeing Blender. And well, if you don't know what Ton is, who Ton is, then Google it. It's on the Wikipedia. It's creator of Blender, basically. That's me. I'm gonna work on the UI, helping the interface and the experience mainly, but more like a bridge with the rest of the studio. So the rest of the studio, the Blender Animation Studio, is working on Spring, the new open movie, but of course they can't be like full-time all day there. So I will try to work as a bridge maybe and contribute some ideas, some UI and UX user experience ideas, and get them when it's needed. Sergey, well, Sergey, if you don't know Sergey, he's a Cycles main developer, dependency graph, motion tracker, you name it. Francesco Citi also, he's the producer at the Blender Institute. He has lots of experience with the pipeline mainly, and software design and development, and all the user experience, and yes, all over the place as well. The same with Sivren. He's been working together with at the Institute already for quite a while, so he knows. He's working with what the artists need. He also worked on Alembic, and is working now with the animators to improve the pose library, for example, in Blender, and tons of little features here and there for usability and user interaction and everything. So it's really important. And we're all at the moment working at the Blender Institute here in Amsterdam, so that's already that's a bit less expensive. We don't have to fly anywhere. We are already here. But the rest of the people have to come over, so that's part of the expenses. So what are the targets? We're gonna make this prettier. Trust me, tomorrow when we see this, we're gonna make it nicer. But basically, 2.80 beta, so it's 2.80 beta, to be released somewhere in the third quarter of this year. Blender 101, the simple configuration, so you can make Blender much simpler, much more beginners friendly, or for teaching, or for 3D printing, or architectural visualization, or just being able to tweak the Blender interface a bit more easily than it is now. So quality assurance, define a protocol for better testing. Yes, that's important. And the launch of the event at SIGGRAPH in Vancouver. So that will be like the Blender usually does it, that go into SIGGRAPH and present the latest stuff. Some years ago we presented the Gooseberry project or the agent, but well, now would be Blender 2.8. So the budget. Any questions? Yes. Yes, there are a few. You can add me. You can add Blender.Today, and I will. The questions will pop up in orange, so I can see them better when I'm scrolling. Otherwise, I can miss a few. So the budget, money. Let's talk money. The total quest would cost around 200 to 150,000 US dollars, which in terms of, it sounds like a lot, but actually in terms of development is not so much. Like it's way less than the Open Movie project, for example, and it's way more affordable. It shouldn't be too much. Actually, there are companies that spend this like on advertisement or like, I don't know, marketing and stuff. So this it's actually it's something we can achieve. How is this split? Well, it's not only the people that will contribute the community, but everywhere, everything. So if you already contributed to the development fund, then you're also helping, because the Blender Foundation is contributing via the development fund. So the development fund is this monthly subscription that you can get for as low as €5 to 250 or something. It can go really high. You can spend as much as you want. Basically, there's a monthly investment that you do, €5, €10. It's like you can make it cheaper than Netflix, and you help contributing to Blender development directly. No, it doesn't. It's not part of any Blender Institute activity. It's not part of Blender Cloud. It's not part of Blender Network. It's not part of anything. Blender Development Fund is purely invested in Blender development itself. That's something to have very clear, because people get confused. It's like, if I get a network subscription, do I help Blender? Yeah, but in a way, but the development not. The cloud, yeah, in a way, because Sergey works for the Blender Institute, which is the Blender Cloud, but it can be confusing. If you go to the development fund, it's just purely development. However, if you join the Blender Cloud, of course, you're already contributing via the Blender Institute, which is what runs the Blender Cloud. So that way, you not only get the assets and stuff, but also you run, you are part of this already. And there is also, of course, the sponsors, which are the big companies that are already contributing to Blender, but can also be part of it. They're the ones that can put their logo in it. They can put they can show off. Basically, they have a bit more income, so they can show off. If you're not a big company and just a little peasant like me and like the rest, you can actually have a little thing in your desk, like a little, like a trophy in the shape of a rocket. So the concept of this campaign is the rocket. That the rocket is Blender 2.8 and is gonna launch at some point, and we need to help it make it happen. So as a token of appreciation, as something, of course, you can always just donate to the Blender Foundation. That's gonna go to the development to the development of Blender. So you can always donate as much as you want. But if you want like a little something, like something to have on your desk, just a little, like a gift, you can give it to someone. It's something more, yeah, it's more symbolic, right? That's the word, symbolic. So you can get this this USB stick for $39 dollars or €34 now until March, and then it will go up a little bit, but you can get it for now. So this way is like, okay, I contributed and I have something, of course. If you have one of the other ideas, just let us know. But we think this is a nice little object. It's tangible. It's something you can put on your desk. The little rocket, you can put it on your screen, and then it's like, hey, I'm part of something big, something that will really change the industry. It's Blender 2.8. So it's I wish if I would have been older when Blender went open source in 2002, that if I would have received something, no matter what, but just something, that would have been actually something, you know, something to keep, something to remember. No, it doesn't matter if it's 10 megabytes or 128 gigs. It's all about what is what it means, what it represents. So this is a mock-up, of course, but we will try to reach to make it as close as possible, and to reach, let's see, when I loaded this page was 94. Let's see if it worked. Hey, 105. Yes. So we will try to reach 1000. That's the minimum, and then from there, of course, the more we sell, the better, because that way we can keep the developers longer, maybe, or we can bring in more people and just make it more intense. Everything helps, of course. So of course, if you're a company and you want your logo there, like you want your logo huge, then you can do so with the sponsorship opportunities, which are at the bottom of the page. They're more expensive, but yes. Let's I'm going to read some of the questions because I've been leaving them alone. So what did we start with? We already mentioned. Let's see. 2018 is the year of Blender. Yes. Someone make an animation of the 2018, drop the 1 and then 2.8. I just got my... Ah, by the way, the graphics, if you like them, I can put them up on Blender Cloud, so everybody can try them and, I don't know, make fun stuff with it. It was very fun to make. I want to make some animations with it. I love low poly and isometric renders. I threw 150 euro at it. Oh, thank you so much. Wow, that helps a lot. Thank you. What is this site? Is in the main Blender page. Yes, if you go to Blender.org, it's like in your face. So you click anywhere on the image and it will lead you to this page. Also, you can find the project, the link itself is on the store, on Blender store. How much? It has 8 gigs for now. Maybe if we find more, because Blender 2.8 won't be ready when it ships, of course, because it will be before. But Open Movies can be, for example. Is there a non-trash way I can support? Yes, of course. I already mentioned, but if you go to donate button here in the top of Blender, you can donate with PayPal, with Bitcoins, with bank transfer, development fund, and yes, you can. Oh yeah, actually I was right. 250 is the highest. So this is how you can help Blender if you don't want the sticky, the USB stick. If only Brecht and Sergey could fusion like Trunks and Goten. Yeah, that would be awesome. For me, Eevee is still broken. No idea why. I have an idea, because it's not ready. So it's that's the whole reason of making the code quest. But maybe if it's too broken, it's yeah, either your GPU doesn't support OpenGL 3.3, maybe, or you're on a Mac, which for now doesn't have a lot of support. Where are the Mac developers using 2.8? The needed amount is quite reasonable. Yeah, right. It sounds good. Will only 100,000 rockets be shipped, or it will be available after the 1,000 goal? You can keep ordering after 1,000. This will become green, spoiler alert, but you can keep ordering. Until when, still have to be decided, but the idea is that it's something limited, that it keeps you as a token, that you helped Blender 2.8 happen. And when Blender is in all the magazines everywhere and all the studios are using 2.8, then you will see like, yes, I helped this happen, I'm part of history. And you can pat yourself in the back, everywhere, wherever you wanna pat, yeah, it's no. I need to stop talking. Hello everyone, later in English, soon for Spanish. Yeah, if you speak Spanish, if you habla español, I will make a live stream on my own channel in 1 hour after this. The URL is on the screen. Let's see. You're gonna need more than 1,000 rockets. Yes. So the 1,000 is just to go to be humble, right? If we ask for 10,000, then it's probably not gonna happen, or it's gonna be very hard. Especially because there were other crowdfunding campaigns here in the community. There was Blender artists that were needed some crowdfunding for moving to the new server, new system. So it's hard, right? How much can you ask the Blender community? But again, this is the very first time that Blender itself. When else have you seen Blender asking for support? Like Blender itself. What I mean, the official Blender channels, not the other ones, but just saying, just to put it make it clear that I don't remember the last time that they were asked for money. It was the Gooseberry project for the film, but that was also the Blender Institute mainly. It wasn't like Blender itself, like Blender.org. Well, maybe it was, but this is different. This is pure development. Pablo, you're being grateful. You're seeing Blender every day. Everybody goes Blender every day, because you can go to builder.blender.org or go to download, experimental, and bam, you have Blender 2.8. But if you want the beta version, you're gonna need a bigger boat. The rockets could be collectible. Yeah, they're collectible. Basically, it was the idea to make something that you can keep as a trophy, so to 3D print something bigger, or just make it a sticky, something that you can actually use, and it doesn't have to. You don't have to. Why would you want so many gigs? Blender used to fit on a floppy disk. What else? Drop it in the cloud. Okay, I will. After this is finished, the rocket should be the standard in Blender shop. Oh, that would be great. That would be nice. So sad it didn't happen. The project Gooseberry. Well, it did happen, but just not as much. So yeah. Yeah, Blender artists made it. Awesome. Congrats. So that's it with the code quest. If there are no more questions, I think we are good for now. We can continue with the rest of the program. I meant that because of your comment I was not. Ah, yeah, of course. I received Blender. Of course. Thanks to everyone. But, you know, a token, something that says I was there in that moment in time, which is exactly what you can get now if you get the USB stick. So like, I was there, I was part of something big back in the days. Right. So I think I'm gonna move a Suzanne USB. Yeah, that could be fun. Hey, Suzanne. There's no Suzanne in this. So what else happened this week? They also happened the I need to add it to the list, but the meeting notes. Today there was a meeting. No, the meeting, which happens on every Monday at either 10 p.m. Central European time or 6 p.m. So that is 10 a.m. sorry, or 6 p.m. That is 5 p.m. UTC or 9 a.m. UTC. So basically that, yeah, 279A, the release candidate, didn't have many issues, so probably will go final this week, hopefully. Then the code quest is announced. Yes, that's a big one. It was like the biggest thing. Then Bastian is working on the asset engine. Yes, for that. That's another huge one for Blender 2.8. An asset engine, finally. Remember, I think I talked about it in the past, but it's just something that Blender needs so bad. Like a way to organize your scene, your images, your textures, all your assets basically. List them, tag them, sort them, search for them, and having them always available. That is important. So the code for that is almost ready. I hope we can get to work, Bastian. If you're watching this, we get to work on the UI before. Would be nice to do that. Then the cow, the copy on right depth graph work by Sergey. He keeps working on it. Such a hard-working people. And the big news of the day, besides the code quest, is that the Blender got accepted for Summit of Code, for the Google Summit of Code. So this the Google Summit of Code, if you're not familiar with it, is a program, yes, that grants open source projects like Blender a certain amount of seats, for example, for projects within this project, this open source project, this community, in this case Blender, to happen. So they have to be mentored by already developers, like known developers that know the software well, and they have to be run by students, of course. It is Summit of Code, so it's like it's meant for students. So if you're studying, I don't know, computer science, for example, and you want to contribute to Blender, there is all the links are here in the lists. This will be published in the Blender 2.8 page. I'm gonna put it up there, but if you just Google it, you will find it. So basically, Blender should be here already. They use the wrong logo. Why can't you use the nice logo? Anyway, we're there. It doesn't matter which logo you use. What is that? The viewer. Sorry, distracted. Students, time to check the ideas page. Yes, there is a page. There is a page in the wiki that has ideas. So if you don't know what you would like to contribute to Blender, there is already quite some ideas, not only from this year, from past years as well. So this will make it easier just to pick up a project that maybe it was already started or it was already proposed and didn't have enough support. So check it out. It's it contains details such as which language would you write it, or how hard would it be. That's also a big one, because yeah, there are a few projects that maybe are too complicated for students, but there are also some that can be easy. And you have huge mentors. You have the main Blender developers as mentors usually, so it's a big learning opportunity. All right, love to see the new wireframes coming 2.8. Yes, who wouldn't? So I think that's it for today. Other projects, Sergey will update developer. That's the developer website is gonna be updated, but nothing big or relevant for this episode of Blender.Today. What can I show? I could show the new SSS. I haven't tested it yet, so it can be a big mess, of course. Up here, I just compiled this. This is why I started a bit later, but I could compile and I could run it now. I just break the planet. Do we break the planet? I don't even know if it is even here. I just compiled. Maybe the thing crashed while I was doing it. This is a cycles thing. Cycles. You can't even add any material. That's awesome. again, cycles, new material. Is it even there? Surface scattering? Yes, random walk. Awesome. So Blender says random walk. If you see the well, there was a tutorial recently that shows it, but already on the pictures that you see in the post by Brecht, they're awesome. There's like, this is without, this is with. So basically it's an improvement of SSS, of surface scattering, in areas with low density when they're too close. Especially when you need, when you sort of lose that detail when you're when you use SSS. So it's super awesome. This is amazing. This example is without and with. It's like a different model. So basically you get even those tiny little details. You see the difference. That's amazing. So even with weird dudes like the Ancient, yeah, you see some improvements. But I think it's even more visible when you have models with the tiny details. Oh, I should test it with the character from no, but it's not ready for the character from Daniel, the one that I tested last week. Oh well. The new SSS on the Ancient. Yeah, no. How does one keep up with the weekly notes? Subscription or something? Well, you can check. There is a new Twitter account. It's not really new. It was already there, but it's called Blender.Dev. So it's for Blender development basically. So it's on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, it's at Blender.Dev. And this posts all the changes in Blender recently, and the weekly report that is called This Week in Blender Development. It's awesome. It's a bit more nerdy because it just goes directly to the posts themselves, but it's a good roundup of what happened in split by branches. So that way you can see, okay, Grease Pencil have that, Blender 2.8 and Master had that, so it's pretty cool. And it usually goes out every week, so we should see it soon. This is for last week. Shall we test the thing live, the SSS live? I'm gonna crash the planet if I do, but maybe it's a good thing. I did it last week. But this will crash so bad. Let's crash it. In the meantime, when is the next coming on this? Good question. Not anytime soon, that's for sure, because the Blender Institute is busy with Spring, the open movie that you can find more. It's on the Blender Cloud. So if you go to Cloud, to the Blender Cloud /p/spring, so P for project, then you can read about it. You can see in the blog all the news and all the updates. Every Wednesday we do a live stream from the Blender Institute, Blender Animation Studio, where we go through the updates that were here on the cloud. So it's only focused mainly on Blender Cloud, so it's about the content there. And in last episode we had Andy talking about the Spring project and a bit of the behind the scenes and this amazing project that is gonna use Blender 2.8. At the moment, of course, they're doing layout, so it's still Blender 279 because animation is not there yet. Actually, it's not 79, it's Master, which is 279A plus a bunch of stuff. So it's a new thing. And yes, this Wednesday actually we are not gonna have a live stream of the Blender Cloud. Maybe we do, because there is another live stream that we still haven't announced. It's a secret, maybe not so secret, but we want to talk about the code quest, but we want to make it a bit more official, not only me at home on a Monday at 9-10 p.m. talking about it, but actually doing a bit more official, and have Tom talking about the code quest and why is it important. So we're gonna announce this maybe tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Questions? You can add me again at Blender.Today, which is a website, by the way. Blender.Today is the community site for all things Blender. It's where you can post your own questions. There is also a chat. It's called #today. It's in blender.chat. Blender.chat, if you don't know it, is this website where you can go and chat, so we can hang out after this live stream. Questions, let me see. Now we can wrap it up in a bit. When is spring due? Spring is due. That's a good question. Now, ideally it would be Blender conference, but it has to be defined still. Depends on, of course, how everything goes, but not before the Blender conference, which is, in case you didn't know, is at the end of October, the last weekend of October. So yeah, the Caminantes, that will be, well, I mean, if spring is finished in November, October, November, then we need at least 1 or 2 months of nothing just to rest, because usually the open movie projects are like, they are fun to make, but they take all the energy from you because there's so much to do and so little people, and we're using alpha software, so a lot of things will go wrong. It's amazing to work on them, but yeah, it takes time. So after the project, we probably gonna have a break, especially also to put it on the cloud, to make content for the cloud, make tutorials. Usually at the end of an open movie project, you make we make documentation about how the project went, and just we put all the files online, all the files that made the movie online, and then we have to explain how to use them, of course. So we use that time as a break, and also as a way to put time back in Blender Cloud in explaining how the files were set up, and everything, how you can re-render basically the movie yourself at home. Let's see. Principal shader, yes. Does the new SSS technology will be present? Yes. Actually, the new SSS technology is present. Oh, I mean, if I go to cycle, this is gonna crash. It didn't crash. You disappoint me, Blender. I was expecting a crash. Anyway, the SSS, it's not here. I might be missing it. I just had it now. Anyway, the what was it? The next question. Been looking around Blender Cloud, lots of great stuff, textures, HDRI, training, well worth it. Thank you. Yes, the Blender Cloud has libraries of all kinds of stuff. It has characters, it has textures. So if you need textures for your anything, all the textures are CC0, so you can use them. You don't even have to give credit or anything. It's just the textures are yours basically, and every texture, all of these textures are available in the add-on, which I don't think I have it running, and this is 2.8 also, so I'm not sure I have it running. We can try though, wouldn't hurt. Yes, so if I load let's break Blender.blend. And then I search for cloud, Blender Cloud Texture Browser. It's an add-on, by the way. You can get it in services in the Blender Cloud. Here. You go to services and you can get the Blender Cloud add-on, which will allow you to do many things. The texture library itself is only for cloud subscribers, so you need a Blender Cloud account when you access it. But basically, from within Blender, you can just search for Blender Cloud Texture Browser and just search the textures like you were on a hard drive. And it's really fast actually. And once you get it, for example, this one is an HDRI. I choose one, it's downloading it, and now it's downloaded. So if I go to the image editor and I see in the list, it's there. It's awesome. And not only that, but what you see here is like the low resolution version. So in order to make it fast to preview, it loads the low resolution, but in the end panel, so in the properties panel, you can change the version that you want. 512p is a small one, maybe 2K, you set it at 2K, and then replace, and it will start downloading the 2K version. Now you have the 2K. Say you want more, 4K, and it's downloading it, bam. It's good, but I want more. 8K, let's see. There is even 16K textures. That's amazing. So it's still, yes, it's getting it, yes. And once it's finished, it will load the 8K texture here, which you can load in the amazing 8K by 4K. Awesome. And of course, this you can just drag it in the, for example, in the world. You can just click on the image, drag and drop, and you have the image here. And of course, you need, it's an image texture, you need an environment texture, so you should do, if you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled, you can just do Shift S and then change it to texture environment texture. Maybe when you drag and drop, maybe it should ask you, like, what do you want? You want an image texture or you want an environment texture? Or actually, why do we even have to choose? What is the difference between an environment texture and an image texture? Of course, there is a difference, but why can't we just have one and just swap them? Like, it's an image after all, right? Questions. It's like the emoji, you know? Let's see. Is the picture of the USB drive made with Eevee? No, it's actually made with Cycles, if I'm not wrong. It was made by Julian Casper, the new artist, character artist in at the Blender Institute. But not new, actually. He's been around for months. Will by any chance Spring or the Asian movie be on the rocket? Yes, of course. We can not Spring because it's not gonna be finished, but we can put all the Asian all the open movies in there. Let us know what you want to have in there. We can fit, of course, 279A with the latest and Eevee demo files, all of the big files that you can find on Blender.org, and maybe new ones. We're gonna get in touch with the artists just to put new files that you can test, because that will make more sense, right? You get a 2.8 sticky. Blender 2.8 is not ready yet, so not gonna, have it. But still, you can test. You can download 2.8, the latest from the build bot in Blender, and you can test the EVD files. Which Linux do you use? I think this question comes in always, and I always just go and show the settings. It's a Ubuntu GNOME 17.10, updated a few weeks ago because 17.04 is out of they don't update it anymore. And the theme is Arc theme, Arc, A-R-C. 279 will come out this week. Can I use the daily build or should I install it again when it comes out? you can do both. Blender 2. The official release is still not out, but it doesn't have really that many fixes compared to the release candidate. However, I would recommend you to wait, so you get the actual 279A, which you can also, if you don't want to download it and reinstall it, you can always use Steam. Blender on Steam is working great. You just update and it's just magic, it just appears. So I would recommend, if you have Steam already, just get it there, and then you don't have to worry about updating Blender anymore. Also, when you report bugs, if you have the official 279A, is better, because that way if the bugs have been fixed or something has changed since the version you have, it's much more easy for developers to track. Let's see. More questions and then we're gonna be wrapping up. The chat says, see it as a link, it doesn't show. I can get, I see Caetano's comments. You guys gonna do a full feature agent or Gooseberry? Good question, but yes. Yes, the goal is to make a feature film with Blender in the near future. And from those two, from the Agent or the Gooseberry, the Agent 327 has a bit more chance because it's an already established IP and it already has a lot of followers, especially here in the Netherlands and in the comic world. And the Agent 327 short film actually has over 3.5 million, 3.4 million views, which is quite much more than the 600,000 or 700,000 that Gooseberry has. It doesn't make it a bad, actually. I love Gooseberry. I would love to see the feature film, but I think the Agent has a bit more chances for now. Yeah, that. Hey, are there Blender stickers? Yes, of course. Store.blender.org. And where, I guess? No? Cool stuff. Where is the cool stuff? Here, sticker. This picture from very long ago with a MacBook, very old. Can we make a new one? Can we? Yes, we're gonna make a new one. Yes, this picture. It's and actually this t-shirt that I have right here, it's also on the store. That's pretty nice. I didn't know. I want one more. It's actually very I like the dark, because we didn't make any more black Blender t-shirts. Another question. This looks like an advertisement. I don't want to do advertisement on anything. You should be free to do anything. Let's show cool pictures here. And I keep reading. Any news on the feature film of the Agent? Not yet. But things are moving. What happens if you don't reach the 1,000 rockets? Short answer. What happens if we don't sell 1,000 rockets? It will happen anyway. That's the short answer. It will happen anyway, but maybe not with 10 people here together, but maybe just the core developers, which is a pity, because the more the merrier, the better this could go on. But of course, with the money from the sponsors, and depends on everything, right? But if the money from the sponsors and the Blender Institute itself as an investment from the Blender Cloud and the development fund can cover a smaller team of developers to come over. But of course, if we can reach 1,000, then at least we can do it the way we want, with the amount of people that we think it's necessary to get it going. And of course, if we get more, then it's these people, but maybe more time. Maybe they agree to stay longer, which will be awesome. 279 will come out this week. Yes, yeah, that's what I answered. Yes, it will come out this week. There is a question here. If you're dragging in the environment nodal editor, it should add an M node. Really? But I was in the... I'm in the world settings and I drag and it makes an image texture. Oh, that's your suggestion. Yes, actually, yes. If you are in the object stuff, yes, that's a good point. I agree. Blender on Steam still sounds creepy to me. Why? Come on. Is that hard to make an updater? It's about time. Well, I'll get to it. Can be that hard. It's just well, yeah, it is. Download, canceling, dealing with files in operating systems for Linux, Mac, and Windows. And if the internet goes down, then your file is corrupt. What if you're updating Blender? What happens with the settings, the user settings? Where are they coming from? What if your computer just turns off in the middle of the update and you mess up, and then so many things can go wrong. So I guess it's not a walk in the park. Otherwise, someone would have done it. Although they would have probably made an add-on and charge you for it or something. 279A just bug fix or new features? Pure bug fixes. Actually, over 200 bug fixes. So it's not like if you're here, if you go to the download page, Blender.org, and you click on what's new in 279A, you can see that actually there is over 200 bugs fixed. No new features, just bug fixes. So it's the same good old 279, but much better and brighter and crispier and shiny, stable. Steam version of Blender is awesome. Count hours and updates automatically. Yes, I don't see anything wrong with it. And we uploaded it. It's not like you give it to them and they do something with it. No, we actually run well, Francesco has to run some scripts, because it's not like just uploading to the I don't know, graphical is simple. But yeah, it has to go through some scripts to break it into parts. I don't know exactly what they do, some scrambling. But yeah, it's the same Blender we get from Blender to Blender.org. Let's see. Laundromat only stayed as a short movie because it wasn't planned as a feature film. Yes, Gooseberry Project was planned as a feature film. So if you go to cloud/p/cosmos, yes, Cosmos Laundromat, yes. Cosmos Laundromat was planned as a feature film. So it was planned in basically cycles. So there's not Blender cycles, but actual cycles. Different parts of the story where the character goes through different lives. The first one and the second one were storyboarded, and the first one was finished. This is what you can see, the first cycle. The second cycle, you can actually, if you dig through all of the files in Animatic, you can see especially if you go to Matteo, which is the director, you can see the Animatic, which contains, for example, this. I don't want to give you depth, but for example, here's where the previous, you see, he's taken by the Frank, the ship, is taken by this tornado in these beautiful drawings by Matias Mendiola, and then he gets absorbed, and then he goes into a new life. And this is what we see at the end of the cycles, the first cycle. Sort of. We see a shorter version of this, but actually he lives much more as a caterpillar. He goes down, he falls in a leaf, and then there's more people. There's a new character called Tara, and yes, a lot happens there. So if you are curious of what's happening in the second cycle of Gooseberry, which is not in production, but it was at some point, because the idea was to make it the first and the second life of Frank. You can go to cloud.blender.org and just browse around in the open projects, Cosmos Laundromat. What else? When you hire new artists to work on the Blender Animation Studio, when? Where do you look for them? I've never seen announcements for the on the website or nor Twitter. No, we are not at the moment looking for artists per se, because we are a maximum capacity. But of course, when there are new projects, there will be there will be a call. Maybe at the beginning is more just seeing what's out there. If you are an artist and you're interested in working maybe here in, I don't know, Blender, or in the future, of course, when we have the resources to do so, I recommend you just go and put all your work out there. Put it on ArtStation, I don't know, make videos about it, tweet hashtag B3D or hashtag Blender3D as well. I don't know, at Blender_org. Just put yourself out there, make yourself known. Let the community share your own stuff for you. So that way you get known. Speaking of jobs, actually, in the Blender.org website, there is a section that we haven't promoted much yet, but actually it's there. It's a jobs page where you can apply for Blender jobs, but more as a developer or like a design, a front end, more like a developer, not an artist at the Blender Institute. This is just pure Blender stuff. Software development, bug fixing, front end development for the Blender Cloud. If you feel like doing front end development, web stuff, well, or backend development also, you can apply. What else? I think we can wrap this up already. Whoa, there are more questions. Good afternoon, buenas noches. No, I'm not gonna explain post library tonight. I'm already running out of time. But I will do in maybe the next episode. How to compile Blender in Ubuntu? Yeah, not tonight. I didn't plan it. I still have this. I want to talk about the code quest. Later in Spanish. Yeah, in 1 hour I wanna be doing it in Spanish. And Blender on Steam is good. 500 hours. Awesome. Luciano, I meant when you do it, where do you do it? Well, on the regular channels. We're gonna, when we ask for it, we are just regular channels. If you go to Twitter and you see Blender_org, you will see that the Blender.org, the official Blender account, is only following the network, conference, and the cloud. If we ask for people, will either be in one of these, the Blender network or the Blender cloud, where it makes sense actually. And now it should follow the Blender developer channel. We need to make it. But that's it. That is it for this week. I covered an hour. Actually, I went over the hour. I think I've been talking forever. I hope I answered everything, all the questions that you had. It's been great. Actually, it's been great. This announcement of Blender Code Quest, it's a huge thing. So if you feel like you can collaborate, you want to be part of history as it happens, you want to be part of Blender 2.8, then join. Yes, be part of it. Otherwise, if you are still unsure, then on Wednesday there will be a live stream with Ton. We're gonna ask questions, so you can maybe we can prepare the live stream before, so you can ask the questions. So what is this code quest? If you need more to be convinced that this is important for Blender, and that this really is the first time that Blender is asking for money in this way, and it's not just money, it's actually support and making it happen. Blender 2.8 is a huge project, it's a huge step forward. Imagine what it was 2.5, 2.6, 2.7. Well, now even much bigger than that. You've seen the demos online for the Eevee, for Grease Pencil, for everything. You've seen it. And we all get excited with all the things that are going on, the new artists that are joining Blender and then are making insane things with it. So I think this is really gonna be a game changer for the industry. 2.8 is gonna turn some heads. So if you wanna be part of it, go to Blender.org and click on the code quest. It's the first thing you'll see there. And otherwise, just stick around and share the news maybe if you can't, because it's a hard time. Actually, it's the middle of the month, so maybe you don't even get you know, it's a tough moment of the month. So if you can spread the news, let other people know, maybe they're interested in it. Or your boss, if you work at a studio and your boss is greedy and wants to get the logo there, yeah, you can do it. There are ways to do it. Just go to the bottom of the code quest page. And otherwise, I will see you well, actually, either way, I will see you again next week at the same place, same everything. We're just gonna hang out here. So stick around, subscribe if you haven't already, so you get the notification. You can click on the bell icon if you wanna be notified on the next time. And I will see you around. Yeah, let's call Gile to this. Prepare your, if you're with the headphones, prepare your headphones. That's it. And now you're ready. Otherwise, it's not the same. It's not the same. I will see you all next week, and as always,